All right, so we're gonna start with the top tier, right? So this tier list we're making right now is the same idea as Mako's, where it's from a competitive point of view, who is the absolute most useful agents for your team, for your entire team, who offers the most value, and if you want to be able to be flexible as a team, you should play these certain agents, right? So the first person we're going to start off with might shock you a little. The first person who I think offers just the most utility for the team and helps the team out the most is actually going to be Cypher. He offers some of the absolute best tools for defense. And if you play him correctly, you practically get a free kill every time they push onto site. The only thing that makes him hard to master, I should say, is because you don't need to spend a whole lot of time with Cypher to be good with Cypher. You don't have, it's not like Sova where you have to find all these crazy angles and lineups from spawn to be able to see the back of mid and, um, there's like pretty basic setups, pretty basic rules you'll follow to get a good Cypher. The thing that makes him difficult to play is he's countered by Raze pretty heavily. He can be countered by Sova a little bit. He can be countered by Jet. Ever since Jet's dash breaks the tripwire, he offers smokes with his cage on offense. The tripwires are good for deflecting flanks, who come up behind you while you're like pushing onto a site. His ultimate is useful on both sides of the field, like really useful. I mean, all around, Cypher offers the best utility that is the most useful and gets the most value out of it. Not to mention he can pick up all his stuff again, Cypher easily, I think, is the most useful competitive team member on the entire game. So next up, we have Sage. Obviously, everybody knows Sage because she can heal her teammates. And max, you can heal like 3 times a round, right? So if you peek in aggressively, you get hurt, you heal yourself, you back off. After 45 seconds or 35 or whatever it is now, somebody else gets hurt, you heal them up. And then at the very, very, very end of the round, you heal up the last person. Honestly, I'm not going to say Sage is brain dead because there's still a lot of stuff you can do. And I think there's some hidden potential that nobody's really figured out yet. But Sage is the agent to play if you don't want to spend a ton of time learning how to use your abilities to, I mean, every single ability should be used to its maximum potential and you should use it well. You don't have to spend a ton of time whatsoever to be good with Sage. If you're good at shooting and you're playing pretty passively, and that's kind of your play style, Sage is like perfect. If you come from Counter-Strike and you don't play a whole lot of games that use abilities and ability management, Sage is one of the better characters to pick up. So I'll move on from there. But obviously her ultimate is like one of the best ultimates in the game, if not the best ultimate in the game. The resurrection, you can make it if you're on a losing side, 4-5 or 3-4, you make it an even fight. Or you can pick and choose who to res. So if your top fragger dies, you can give them a second chance at, destroying the enemy team. Or if you're in a 4-on-4, you can put it in your favor, even if it's, you're running out of time or something like that's happening. So honestly, Sage is S tier, but she's best suited for players who aren't the best at ability usage. She helps them out more than any other agent. This next character is really, really difficult to choose. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do one other one first. Now, this may be a hot take for a lot of people, but I 100% back the idea that Raze is S tier. People may not think that. People be like, well, she's just broken. Raze is, they say Sage is the premier stall agent. They've been saying that since launch. Raze can stall people just as well as Sage can. Plot twist, they're all S tier. No, seriously, Raze can stall just as often as, just as well as Sage can. Sure, Sage has her wall, but if there's 3 people shooting at it, that wall, it's down. It really, the slow orb, well, you can still shoot past it. Think about Raze's boombot. All the time, if I'm pushing onto a site, I put a boombot down, and then they have to focus on either killing me or the boombot. And if I'm really still not sure about the push and I don't feel comfortable, if I throw a grenade instead of a boombot, or a grenade paired with the boombot, they can't walk past that, they'll die. They physically have to sit back and wait. And that's more than enough time to pick up a skill orb and back off. That's more than enough time to get into a good position. Not to mention, she has a lot of good escape options. She's got a lot of mobility with her blast packs. She can kill people with the blast packs. Her boombot is good for scouting. It's good for area denial. If you're playing Ring Around the Rosie on C, on Haven, in that center aisle, you send a boombot to the left and you flank to the right. Now either they have to walk around and spend time shooting the boombot while you come up behind him and kill him, or they face you face to face. Instead of a 50-50 chance, you make it a 100% chance that you're going to see him. Not to mention, she can get up to great heights. She can fly through the air faster than Jet, using her ultimate. Her ult is extremely powerful. It's good for not only movement if you're flights, but it's really good for an easy pick. If they're around the corner, if you know where somebody is, it's easy to kill somebody with that ultimate. There's lots of stuff. I mean, she's good for fleshing out enemies. She's good for stalling enemies. She's good for killing enemies. She's good. Your Raze is going to be top frag. I 100% back that. 100% back that. Yeah, good clear tools, good stalling, good killing tools, good flushing tools, good. There's lots and lots and lots of good area denial. I mean, she's got incredible mobility. I already went all through that. But yeah, I knew people would be like, no way, Ray's not S tier, but 100% for her team and for herself, I stand by that. I will always stand by that unless she gets nerfed or something, in which case I don't stand by that. But she hasn't been nerfed yet, so we're good. Next up is Brimstone, right? Brimstone is a struggle between S tier and A tier. Currently, he can stall the bomb better than anyone else with his ultimate and with his molly. Not to mention his ease of use for his smokes. So that's the dilemma. He's either low S or high A. And the reason, and just so you know, I'm positioning them like this because this is the way I believe it is. I think Cypher's number 1. I think Sage is number 2, and then Raze, and so on and so forth. And we'll go down that way, right? He's similar to Sage, where it's like relatively easy to use him, but he can stall. He can area denial. He can force people to move in a certain direction. He's a controller. That's his job, right? His ultimate is great for catching people off guard or for denying a bomb plant on smaller sites, or for denying diffuse. Basically, you get that bomb down, you only have to defend it for like 25 seconds, and then if you throw down a molly, wait a second, wait till it ends, and then use your ultimate afterwards. They won't have time to diffuse. Imagine if a Sova and a Brimstone paired up, right? And the Sova shoots his shock darts down straight at the ground for 40. He times it out for 35 seconds or 40 seconds. I think that's like 2 bounces and 2 charges or something like that. And then shoots one straight up in the air or something for 40 seconds or whatever it is. And then they back off. They wait for the defuse sound effect. And then Brimstone ults. And then he throws a molly up over that lands right after the ult. They literally cannot defuse it. They will die. And you don't even have to look at him. His smokes are really good because he can place 3 of them. They last longer than anybody else's. And he can place them wherever he wants within a certain area, obviously, but you can do it from safety. It's not like more like Jet, where it's really difficult to curve it around and get it up over stuff and land exactly where you want it. He could do is from a really safe distance. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put him in A because his stim pack. His stim pack is really good. I have seen it used to bait. I've seen it, but it's mostly good to break doors in the beginning of the game or break walls, sage walls in the beginning of the game. Things like that. That's like what it's most used for. Obviously, you'll use it if you're defending a side or, that kind of stuff, but you got to be careful because the enemy can use it too. It's like a double-edged sword. You have to place it correctly. But he's slightly more difficult to play than Sage. That's why I think he's A tier. Just because his stim pack is not as useful as like Sage's wall, but he's very, very good. Offers a ton of utility for his team, and having a really solid Brimstone on your team can save you a lot of rounds that you should have lost. Moving on, I'm putting Omen in A tier. Right, Omen has been used more and more often by the competitive pro team scene because of his smokes. And plus, he can play a lot of off angles. He can safely escape. He can do a lot of different things. Omen offers the biggest smokes. I don't know if you guys know that. His smokes are larger than anybody else's. Meaning, like on Haven, on C-Site, where oppers like to sit on defense, and they will peek long from the like metal elevator boxes in the back of site. You need 2 Brimstone smokes to smoke that off. Omens, you only need 1, and you can smoke off from the middle box all the way over to, not to mention you can place it up high in the air and let it fall down. The thing is, a lot of his sounds or a lot of his abilities are pretty loud, so it's actually harder to play him at higher tiers than a lot of these other characters. He can play off angles, kind of like Jet, where he takes an aggressive off angle and tries to get a pick. If he doesn't, backs off and then warps to safety. I've seen an Omen player who put a smoke up on top of a ledge, warped up onto the ledge, and I should say the smoke was slightly in front of the ledge, warped onto the ledge inside of the smoke, and the smoke fell, and he had this great advantage. Nobody knew exactly where he was. Like that's pretty high tier Omen mindset you got to be in. You got to play a lot of Omen to figure that kind of stuff out. But Breach's smokes paired with Omen smokes, and Omen I think has the second longest lasting smokes. So both of their smokes put together, that's 5 really, really strong smokes that make pushing onto a site really easy, and it makes it a lot easier to counterplay against oppers, right? Breach plus Omen equals easy site for sure. So one of my old teams that I used to coach for Valorant, we would put a single Omen smoke in the back of Haven on C-Site in between the center box and the elevator, and then have the team push up, and then one person would go into cubby and just watch the corner on top of elevator to make sure nobody was there while the rest of the team pushed on site. We only needed 1 smoke, and we had like a 99% success rate with that strategy. Got the plant like every single time. People don't play around it very well. That's it's just 1 smoke. So Omen's got a ton of potential. Not to mention he can send it from anywhere to anywhere in 2 different ways. Like he can see it in 2 different sites, if that makes sense. All right. Here's where it gets a little bit more difficult, right? So remember, we're strictly talking about team utility. Who can help your team out the most? And the reason why Omen is lesser than the other 2 is because he's a little more selfish with his abilities. Team utility. Next up, I'm gonna say Sova on this one, right? I think Sova is A tier, but next up in the A tier because of obviously his sight capabilities, his ability to flesh out enemies with his shock dart, to stall the bomb, his ability to see through walls, obviously, and give that information to his whole team. I mean, how many montages have you seen where the person gets sight from Sova and then just taps him a couple times in the head through the wall? being able to wallbang so much in this game is extremely useful compared to like Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, you rarely see a wallbang. But in this game, wallbangs, I from the beginning have thought that wallbangs were like extremely significant. That being said, I mean, his owl drone being able to ping targets, you can fly that up over things, underneath things, wherever. You can shoot the dart through smokes and hit somebody if you're good enough. And Silva's ultimate, being able to pair that with multiple of his abilities. His owl drone pinging somebody and then ulting immediately after is that's like one of the best ways to hurt somebody, if not kill them. But I think Silva's ultimate is much easier to dodge than people think. I died to a Silva ult a couple days ago once, but before that it had been like 3 or 4 weeks. And sure, I'm playing against like kind of gold players and stuff, but I mean, the fact that he hits or he clicks on his target and then it kind of focuses in and then hits, I mean, you can juke that super easy. So it's better to like confirm kills, in my opinion. It slows you down and it reveals you, true, but it takes a while for the next one to start. So you can just run in one direction, down a hall or something. He'll aim, trying to compensate in front of you, and he just flip the script and go the other way, and you're set. Script the flip, you know. So Silva's ultimate's not as useful as like Brimstone's or Ray's or Sage or Cypher. Maybe it's kind of on par with Cypher's a little bit, because it can actually deal damage and reveal a couple enemies if they're lined up. But it's also really good for forcing an enemy to back off, right? So if you're pushing onto a site and there's an enemy who likes to sit in the same exact position, you can ult directly in that position and force them to not be able to peek out with like an op or something while your team pushes on the site. Just be careful not to hit your own team with it. Entry, exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. Not only the drone, but the ultimate. You can use it as an entry tool. So as far as team utility goes, the next up, I have to put him in A tier, is Breach. I'm putting him in A tier because the ability to stun your enemies from a safe position is incredibly powerful. Imagine Brimstone smokes from a safe position being able to place them anywhere, except it's like, I don't know, like Cypher's trap. They just get hit with it if you know where they are and you use it correctly. Not to mention his flashes are incredibly quick. You can place it. The only thing that makes him the bottom of the A tier list is because most of his abilities, you need to have, well, half of his abilities, I should say, because of his ultimate. You need to have a wall to use it. So if you're face to face with an enemy, your flash is not going to matter, and neither is your demo charge. I think personally, Breach is one of my least studied characters. I like have not put as much time into Breach because mostly I've been gathering information just from everybody else thinking he's like the greatest thing that ever happened since beta, you know? You remember that? In beta, everybody's like, Breach S tier, the best, you know? Breach's ultimate is one of the, I mean, it's just insane. If you get caught in that, you're freaking out for the next, couple seconds. But he offers good flushing tools with his demo charge. His flashbangs are incredible. Being able to place that up high on a wall and it basically instantly activate. Holy crap, that's frustrating to get hit by over and over. A good Breach is one of the more frustrating things to play against in the game. Not to mention he can stall the bomb by lifting people up off of it. So if you can start getting the heat timing down and you hear somebody defuse, you can wait. It's like 7 seconds to defuse. That means 3.5 seconds till you're halfway. So if you count to 3, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and launch it, it launches them up in the air. Well, at least if it hits them on 3 seconds. You don't want it to, because it takes a second to launch. It says, let's go, charges it, launches it, and then it moves. Do. So make sure you launch it like 1 Mississippi launch, let's go, and then it'll hit them right when it gets to about 3 seconds. But yeah, you lift them up off the bomb. Now it takes them 10.5 seconds to defuse the bomb if they were to immediately start again. Not to mention however long it takes to launch them up in the air and come back down. So maybe like 11 seconds. Yeah, he's got incredible flushing tools, incredible sight entering tools. His ultimate is ridiculous. But when you're dazed and confused, you can still kill somebody with an op. You can still get a headshot or one tap. It's so he's not impervious. It's not Reyna using her invincibility or something. That's why he's bottom A tier. But he still offers a ton of utility, which is why he is A tier. Next up, we're moving into B tier, right? So we could do next most useful person's Phoenix, for sure, over Viper. Because Phoenix offers a lot more intel than Viper can. Although Viper can control a site herself, it seems pretty scripted. Hell no, if it was scripted, you'd see me doing this. And I'm trying to follow along. Yeah, Phoenix B tier. Because he's pretty selfish as a agent. He heals himself. His wall doesn't last that long, doesn't go that far. It's good for pushing onto a site, but not as a full team. If you try and get a full team of 5 people pushing onto a site using that wall, you're barely going to make it, even with the most coordinated teams. Not to mention your teammates can be blocked off with that wall. I can't tell you how many times the Phoenix has tried to heal himself, use the wall, and then I get damaged because of it. It's almost as bad as Ray's mains. Okay. But yeah, he offers a lot of intel. He has his flashes. He's kind of like a mashup of a lot of different characters. If you like him for one specific reason, like if you're like, I really love his flashes, it'd be better to play Reyna or Breach. Right? You don't really need Phoenix's flashes, but if you like playing him because you like having an all-around character, that can still be pretty useful to the team. Phoenix is the person for you for sure. And I'm gonna say it now, but I don't think there's any D tier. I don't think there's any D tier agents. I think this game as a whole is actually pretty well balanced. I mean, it's only 11 heroes, right? But yeah, Phoenix offers a lot of utility. You can area denial for a few seconds. You can heal yourself up. You can blind people. You can block off their vision using your wall. You can, there's so many different things. And not to mention his ultimate is one of the most frightening things to hear if you're pushing onto a site or defending a site, because he has 2 full chances to kick your butt within a couple second time frame. But yeah, his team utility is not that strong. Like he really doesn't offer something great to the team, which is why he's B tier. But next up is Viper. Viper B tier for sure. People are going to hate that. Viper, as far as team utility goes, B tier for comp. Viper has, in my opinion, the best smoke in the game. The only issue is you can only have one at a time, right? That's what holds her back. They fixed her snakebite thing. Her snakebite being able to inflict fragile. Holy crap, that's frightening to push through. They didn't. I didn't know. I thought they would increase the damage when they buffed her, but no. So the issue is you block off half the site with your wall, and you can cut through any site, divide it in 2, make pushing on easier. But the people are still there. They're still waiting on you. Just because you're 40 feet closer doesn't mean it's going to be this huge difference. You could just walk through it, sure. But I mean, if you block, say there's 5 people on defense hidden on the right side of a site, and you wall it off, and your whole team pushes in, and they get in position. As soon as that wall comes down, they're all there waiting. It's not like the smoke where they have to wait for 45 seconds, like Brimstone's smoke. It's not like a flashbang. It's not, it's great. It just doesn't offer anything other than a visual block. That's it. I think there's also some more hidden potential Viper has that we haven't really discovered yet. But you can literally block off all of the best hiding spots on certain sites with Viper alone. And if you pop her smoke and her wall at the same time, both of them take up less poison on your poison bar. than usual. So it's more beneficial to launch both at the same time. You get more value out of it, which is super loud, by the way. I don't know if you guys play around that a lot, but it's super, super loud. The poison wall and the orb, obviously. I mean, you can hear from both sides when she's putting it down or when she runs out. It makes that whole like. So you know exactly when that smoke's disappearing, unlike omens, unlike brimstones, unlike jets. It doesn't have a sound when it's disappearing. So you'll know when to push and when not to push up against Viper. And that's another big weakness she has. A good Viper will pull down and put up the wall before your poison runs out to throw off the enemy and say it to your teammates. My wall's going down. You put it down. You guys peek, try and get your picks, whatever. My wall's going up, and then you put it up again. So anyway, and her ultimate is extremely useful. Her ultimate can be used in 3 great scenarios. 1, if you're on defense to deter, like right when the round starts, if you pop your ult on C or on B or A or wherever, or if you hear them coming and you pop your ult, that deters them from even wanting to push in the first place. In fact, in most cases, they'll just rotate back. They don't even want to deal with it. Because then once they think, oh, the Viper's going to be stuck here on A, if we rotate to B, that's one less person we have to deal with, which is true. But now they've wasted 30, 45 seconds trying to push into your site, and then now they have to push back and, whatever. So that's one. The second one is if you're on defense and you kill an attacker and the bomb is down, they drop the bomb. You can ult right on top of the bomb, and now your team can defend the bomb position. And not only do they have to push into smoke to try and get it back, they have to kill you guys, fall back, and then they have to push onto a site and then plant. So it's like double the amount of work for them. So if you're playing against a Viper, don't die with bomb. Absolutely do not die with bomb. In fact, I predict that you'll see some highlights or you'll see in some games where your bomb carrier pushes in and then they die and the Viper pops the smoke. And even if you kill the Viper and get the smoke back, you don't have enough time to push onto a site and plant. I'm calling it now. You're going to see that, right? And then obviously the final thing, if you're attacking, you plant the bomb, you pop it then, and you defend the bomb from there while it's counting down for the next 45 seconds. But so that's why she's B tier, right? She offers a lot of utility, but Phoenix, the intel that he can provide, being able to have 2 lives for free, the flashbangs, along with area denial, along with a wall, he just offers a little bit more for the team than she does. I used to be obsessed with Viper. I mean, so it kind of hurts me to put her so low, but that's just how it is. Now for the last 2, Jet or Reyna, who offers more utility for their team. And are they B tier? Are they C tier? Pow! I said it. Reyna is better for her team than Jet. Reyna has not only the 2 best blinds, two instances of the best blind in the game, but the ability to heal yourself back up, freeze the sage up to heal other people, being able to go invincible and kind of peek in and out and gather information without any risk is fantastic. Her ultimate giving you this like boost of a lot of different abilities and stats and stuff is fantastic. I mean, Reyna may not offer smokes, or blind is basically like a flash. Reyna's biggest weakness is against really long range bouts. So if you're playing against a really good Reyna, you're going to want to play more long range, because if you can pick her off while she's peeking in and stuff, she'll be practically useless for your team. Also, to defend against Reyna, you want 2 people. Being able to kill that Reyna first before she gets a pick is huge. One thing I think the devs should nerf about Reyna, though, I don't think she should be able to use her abilities if she's not in direct line of sight of them, right? I mean, if she's around the wall, she can't use it. But if there's a smoke in between her and the orb, she can still use the orb. But anyway, she frees up the sage, and her blinds are incredible, and she can get a lot of intel and peek, and she can kind of carry her own. So I think that's what makes her above Jet. She's a pub stomper for sure. But if I recall correctly, there were a couple pro teams who were playing Reyna. In fact, on Ascent, I think it was TSM didn't use a Sage at all. And if she's just popping off, Reyna is one of the most frustrating. Because you go to kill her and you die and you're like, oh, I did 149 damage to her. Doesn't matter. She's now got 100 and something health, you know. It's annoying. But anyway, so last but not least, Jet. B tier or C tier for the team? Okay, so her smokes offer a ton of one-ways. Being able to smack it up against a wall and create a one-way for yourself in any scenario, nice, right? It's really difficult to use her smokes though. But I think as the pro scene develops, in fact, I think before the end of the year, we'll see some really, really cool plays with Jet using a smoke. In fact, I look forward to seeing that. I'm going to be screaming in my living room when I watch it on TV. She's C tier. As far as this tier list goes, as far as competitive utility for your team, the only thing she really offers is a little bit of intel, risky intel, and her smokes could be used in a lot of different ways. But they're fast, but you can't use them to push onto a site. They don't last long enough. In fact, it lasts even less than Phoenix's wall, right? So it's kind of like, it's really lackluster. It's good to reposition yourself or to peek and try and get one kill. It's not good to push onto a site with. Don't use it to push onto sites unless you have no other option. It's not good against oppers because of how short it lasts. Like, it's the only thing it's good for is if you can set up a one-way against that opper, right? Then it's good, right? But that might be pretty difficult. But yeah, I mean, her dash gets her out of situations, doesn't get anyone else out of situations. Her boost gives her a little bit of intel, doesn't give anyone else any intel. I mean, her ultimate is a damage ultimate, whatever you want to call it. But honestly, Jet C tier. So anyway, now that I've explained the entire thing, what do you guys think? It's a weapon, yeah. What do you guys think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Put Reyna in C. The only reason she's not in C is because of her ability to gather information after she gets that first kill. Although you have to get the first kill to be able to offer any information whatsoever. Plus being able to go invisible, I mean, she's good for entry fragging, that kind of stuff.